Hello fantasy gamers and welcome to Game of Thrones. So I said a while ago that this year I was going to try a Game of Thrones multiplayer game over the internet. So this is the first of the rules videos for Game of Thrones, and we're going to jump straight in at what Game of Thrones is, what the board game's all about. So most of you will probably know that Game of Thrones is this very popular series of books that was then made into a TV series by HBO. I should say Song of Ice and Fire series really is what the books are called, and then the show is called Game of Thrones. And it's a medieval fantasy setting set in a continent called Westeros, and there's loads of stuff going on there: political intrigue, armies, backstabbing, grand strategy. Yeah, it makes for a great setting for a board game. Over in the corner there I have Longclaw, which is one of the swords from Game of Thrones. People might recognise that, sword of Jon Snow. And what is this board game about? Well, I think this board game really captures the spirit of the books because it focuses on a game of grand strategy with your armies moving around, but also on the diplomatic side of communicating with other players and making deals and breaking deals. And it's all very strategic, but also diplomatic, and you've got to know who your friends and your enemies are. So it has that element of diplomacy in it, and in some ways there's a lot of similarities between Game of Thrones and diplomacy, but they're vastly different, as we'll soon see. So I think we'll just have a look at the map and then we'll jump into the rules. So here we've got a closer view of the map, starting from Winterfell there at the top and working our way down. There you've got Mokalin, the twins. There's Pike, where the Greyjoys hang out. This is Lannisport, where the Lannisters live. Over here we've got Baratheon on Dragonstone. There's King's Landing, the kind of capital of the whole continent. And down the bottom we've got Highgarden, which is House Tyrell. Of course the Starks were there at the top. And on the side of the board you've got the turn marker, because the victory conditions, if they're not fulfilled, then the game will end when it gets to 10 turns. You've got a supply track with each of the various houses' sigil showing where they are on supply and what armies they can support with that supply. And then we've got this political track here, three different types. You've got the Iron Throne track, you've got the Fiefdoms track and the King's Court track, and these will do different things in the game. So the Iron Throne track decides the turn order, which can change, that's why you can move these around. You've got the Fiefdoms track, that decides who wins draws in battle. So if you're at the top you beat everyone lower down than you. So if you're stuck at the bottom, you're not beating anyone if it's a draw. You have to have superiority. And then the King's Court track, the top spot gets this raven, which allows them to change an order, and then all the lower spots get these stars, and they allow them to use special orders, a certain number of special orders. So that's the board. Or one more feature of the board, you've got the wildlings at the top there. The wildlings are like this race of people north of the kingdom that are slowly growing in number, and eventually they'll attack down south and wreak havoc on the lands below, and you've got to see if you can defeat them. Right, let's have a look at the rules and how we play.